Welcome to the Cyber Center for Biblical Studies. Hi, my name is Herb Bateman. Today we have with us two guests, co-hosts of a podcast program entitled The Pastor's Survival Guide. We have with us Aaron Peer and Scott Barger, and they're going to introduce us to this Pastor's Survival Guide that they've been producing for over the past 2 years. So Aaron, Scott, welcome. And thank you for joining us to share with us this podcast you produce. I take it monthly, quarterly,
as the spirit leads.
As the crow flies.
I don't know. Like that. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we want to attribute what we do to the spirit.
Why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
regularly.
Okay. Regularly.
Yeah.
So and you have, if I'm correct, you've been doing this now for 2 years.
Yeah, I think our first episode was 2 years ago this summer, I think.
Yeah.
And we just recorded something like 30 or 31.
Well, give us a sample of some of the episodes that you have you've done over the past couple years. And let's do it this way. Aaron, why don't you share with me 3 memorable episodes that you've done, and then Scott, you share 3 that stand out in your mind.
We did one called Surviving No Mas-itis. Is that what it was called?
That is.
Which is Spanish for no more.
No more.
We don't want to do this anymore. And I think every pastor that's been there, or we're not limiting it to just pastors. We know other vocations are hard too, but I think every pastor has had those rough patches where they just want to throw the gloves down and say no more. And so that was a pretty memorable episode of just trying to kind of work through the feelings that come from just wanting to quit. We did another one called Surviving Loneliness, where we sang Bobby Vinton.
Well.
Ad nauseum.
We played Bobby Vinton.
Aaron sang Bobby Vinton. I think Scott didn't.
Yeah.
And just talking about Mr. Lonely and how you're probably the most popular person in your church, but you're also probably the loneliest person in your church, because there just seems to be that chasm that if you really get to know somebody in a church and you really become friends, you almost cease being their pastor. And so we talked about that one.
It's hard for some pastors to make friends.
And moving right along.
I was like, hey, this is my time, right? This is my show. And, gosh.
We did one on surviving salary negotiation was a recent one.
Yeah.
And how difficult it is for a lot of pastors to negotiate with their church for more money when you are kind of the CEO of the church. And
a lot of times you're the one responsible for the budget.
Yeah, and that can be a tricky kind of thing to navigate.
Oops, I added $20,000 to my salary this year.
Just like that, I'm
Hope
rich.
that's not a problem.
Yeah, we did one on surviving steeple envy, which was the idea of that I think a lot of pastors, quite frankly, churches churches esteem. In Christianity, we esteem large churches, and so as a small church pastor, you can kind of feel like you're playing second fiddle all the time to a large mega church down the road, and what that does to your psyche and your worth as a person and as a pastor can be pretty brutal, I think, sometimes.
We did one on surviving criticism, because pastors, I mean, you're it's a public job, you're up front. There's a lot of people watching, and everybody's got an opinion and a critique, kind of the old joke, we ate roast preacher for lunch, after church on Sunday. So just kind of commiserating a little bit about that, and how do you handle that kind of criticism in a healthy way?
Okay, very good. And Scott, is there another one? You got 5 out there. Another one maybe stands out in your mind?
Well, I mean, they're all brilliant, really.
Yeah,
they're very good, very good.
Well, you're 2 brilliant guys.
Of course.
With faces for radio.
Yeah, I think the ones that hit home that were the most meaningful for me are ones we're dealing with kind of the unseen or maybe unknown kind of emotional struggle of being a pastor. The stuff that they don't really ever equip you to handle when you're in seminary. So anything from criticism to loneliness to envy to frustration, like all of that stuff or ones that are easy shows to talk about because the material is endless.
Right, and sometimes we call it the post-seminary education. Yeah. What your seminary professors wouldn't tell you because they wanted you to take more pastor classes.
Okay.
So
fair enough. So in many ways, I mean, this is the this is the grunt work type emotions that you're feeling as pastors, as you're living and breathing and exercising your vocation of being a pastor. How long have you guys been doing this? How long have you guys been pastors?
Dude, we figured it out. We're coming up on 25 years combined.
25 years.
So I've been in it as a senior pastor for over just about 12 years.
Now, I've been a senior pastor for 11 years. Of course, we were involved in other types of
like
ministry.
youth ministry and stuff, but that hardly counts.
Now, when you think about your audience in a big picture, you're targeting pastors, but there's all different types of pastors. What type of a pastor would appreciate your podcast on the Pastor Survival Guide? Is there a particular pastor that you have in mind, or you just a buckshot approach to all pastors?
Well, we like to think that all humans, not just pastors, would enjoy the podcast, but certainly, I have yet to see, Herb, any statistics that show that the struggles of pastors within one denomination or one type of church are notably different from the struggles within another. So you can have mainline denominations that have a very established hierarchy, and there's nothing that we've seen yet in our experience or in any research that's shown that they're dealing with significantly different struggles than a small church pastor, an independent church someplace in the middle of Midwest America. I mean, the struggles are still there. They're pretty common, and we've actually been surprised how easy it's been to come up with a list of things that to complain about, really. And I don't think that it's unique to us. I think anyone who's in ministry as a job.
Right, and we do have a lot of non-pastors who listen as well. And so, our target audience is, of course, pastors. And, I'd say a pastor that can roll with things and have a little bit of a sense of humor about himself or herself.
Yeah, if you really don't like good humor, then you wouldn't like our podcast.
Okay. Do you find when you say good humor, is it edgy?
I don't know if I call it edgy. It makes me laugh.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm really concerned about anything else other than that. I mean, we don't submit to a ratings board or anything, so we don't have to censor too much. But
all right. Okay.
I think it's funny, and I've actually had people who listen to the show either because they know one of us or both of us personally, but they're not pastors. And it's interesting how often people like that will comment that it's weird to think about the pastor role the way that you're talking about it, which I think, there's nothing unique in our stories, again, but I think for people who aren't in the pastorate, to hear two pastors kind of complain and kind of weep and feel sorry for themselves for a couple of minutes, and to then say, hey, there's a good chance that your pastor is going to struggle with this at some point. I think that's been a learning experience for some of our non-vocational pastor listeners.
And we hope that kind of springboards them to think about their pastor maybe a different way.
Okay, so what you're
and
telling
maybe
me,
minister to them as well.
Yeah.
so then what you're telling me is your target audience is pastors, but you also have non-pastors listening, and
Sure.
in many ways you're ministering to your non-pastors and helping them understand what some of the mental gymnastics and emotions that their pastors may be going through.
Yeah, maybe help them to see them as human, and because sometimes you just think of them as a spiritual guru or somebody without their own life, or just somebody there to help you, and when they're a person and they're going through struggles as well. So we just have a heart for pastors. We know it's a hard gig, and we just want to laugh about it, and just that can help us to carry on, and maybe we can offer some advice that will help somebody, or maybe not. But
maybe the lay leader who's the chair of the search committee or lead elder or something in a church, that could be really beneficial for them to listen in on the kind of job that they're creating, because the culture of the church has a lot to do with this, and I like to think that we maybe have some influence there as well, hopefully.
Okay, very good. When you think about the creation of these podcasts, and obviously topics apparently aren't one of those challenges in trying to come up. What are some of the challenges that you face as you think your way through the creation of these podcasts? What are some challenges that you have to face in creating these podcasts?
I think the biggest challenge for me personally is just the vulnerability that we want. We want this to be an open window into the life of a pastor, so we don't want to play Christian games and put on masks and.
But we want to keep our jobs.
But at the same time, we want to keep our jobs.
So
therein lies the tension, right?
Yeah, right.
So what you're saying is you're vulnerable, but you're using wisdom in the process of being vulnerable to your listening audience.
Yeah, because everything we say could be heard by anybody. And so you just got to be able to carefully walk that line between sharing enough information that it's helpful, but at the same time not sharing too much information.
Okay. And I guess the other thing that I thought might be interesting to hear, at least for me to hear, has there been any negative responses to your podcasts? Because obviously you're having a positive influence on a number of people, but has there been any indication of any negativity? Have you gotten any negative feedback about your podcasts?
I don't think so.
Good.
I don't think so. I mean, we don't interact a lot with people that listen to us, so that maybe there's lots of negative feedback. We just
don't hear it.
We don't want to listen. But I mean, we have a Facebook page, and we'll get feedback on there, and nothing predominantly negative stands out in my mind. But we're not. I don't think we're saying anything that's controversial either. It's not. I mean, nothing we're saying is really debatable. I don't think.
Right.
Like now, maybe you can.
And we don't venture into thorny theological issues.
Really not. We did a show about navigating theological issues, but
at the same time, we took no stance on any theological
issues. Right. And so maybe people could disagree with the advice. How helpful is the advice that we give? But this particular issue is a problem that a pastor is going to face is not debatable. It just is. And we try to come up with what we think might be some helpful advice that we would want to live by and offer to other people who are dealing with it. But we're not dealing with a lot of the stuff that we say. Even the Bible doesn't address it directly.
Right.
And so
one of our episodes was how to deal with a sugar daddy. Very wealthy congregant who kind of might think that they have a handle on the purse of this church. There's nothing in the Bible that you can find about that. I mean,
that's a real
issue. You can
issue.
imply things, but
right.
For things, I guess.
So we're not. I don't think we're controversial in the show. So maybe that saves it from us.
So essentially, this is an extremely helpful podcast for pastors just to be able to listen, lay people just to be able to listen and get a heart for and a feel for what a pastor goes through.
I hope so. Yeah, I think so. We don't.
Well, that's what we tried to create, something that we thought would be helpful to us. And we believe that it would be helpful to others too because of that.
So where do you post these podcasts? How do I get connected with you? Suppose our listening audience wants to connect and listen to your podcast that you produce monthly. How do I connect with y'all?
Well, you can. We have a Facebook page, so you can find us and like us, which we like people to like us on Facebook because we're fragile.
We're insecure, needy people.
Okay.
We need likes.
And you can, we have a website, pastorsurvivalguide.com, and you can also search for, I think the most recent 10 or 15 episodes are always in rotation on iTunes. So if you use iTunes, you can search for the Pastor Survival Guide. But any one of those places will, give you a link to listen to them. And we enjoy, I think, a pretty healthy listenership. It's not gargantuan, but it's not insignificant either. So
it's bigger than both of our church attendances combined.
I think so.
Well, very good. Yeah. Well, Aaron, Scott, thank you very much for sharing with us this pastor survival guide that we can listen to on a monthly basis. Thank you for joining in, and until next time, I hope you have a great day. Thank you.